movie overall looks really cool. There are some spotty CGI elements in here. In particular, there's a CGI baby that at first glance isn't too bad, but there's plenty of lingering shots, and the longer it lingers, the more you're like, that's a little bit unsettling, that's a little weird. But even like a Galactus's face, it did not have the same realism of, say, a Thanos.
It's fantastic.
Say that again?
911, what's your emergency?
With Pedro Pascal making some of the worst decisions during the press tour for Fantastic Four, one major development going on now involves how he yet again attacked fans and said some of the most offensive things yet toward Marvel fans that is already creating a division ahead of the release on July 25th. Pedro delivered the following.
Marvel had everything riding on this movie. After years of delays, half-baked projects, and growing fan fatigue, Fantastic Four wasn't just another superhero reboot. It was a desperate move to reclaim the magic. This wasn't just about launching another franchise. This was Marvel's reset button. Originally slated as the last film before Avengers: Doomsday, this movie was supposed to set the tone for everything that came next. The stakes were enormous. A failure here wouldn't just disappoint fans. It could unravel the entire next phase of the MCU. And for a while, that pressure was crushing.
That are just really beginning to actually have a lot of Marvel fatigue and Pedro Pascal fatigue. That is very much real. And like I said earlier, his politics, his overall view on activism, it is not helping at all in the least when it comes down to Marvel and Disney. And the fact that Marvel and Disney allows him to go on that train wreck of viewing, of course, or spewing his politics into the public eye, it goes to show you that they really don't care at all.
But then the schedule shifted. Avengers: Doomsday got delayed. Suddenly, the Fantastic Four weren't closing the chapter. They were opening it, and Marvel took that opportunity to swing for the fences. Instead of playing it safe like in past reboots, they went in the opposite direction, a 1960s period piece. Comic book accurate designs and bold creative choices that would have seemed unthinkable. A few years ago, the studio didn't just dip its toe into the source material this time. They dove in headfirst. But here's the thing, bold doesn't always mean better. The movie is packed with surprises, deep-cut characters, and one of the biggest swings Marvel's ever taken. The real question is, did they finally get it right? Or did Marvel go too far?
Bob Iger is now having issues with Pedro Pascal. Just days ago, they already punished Pascal by reducing his press tour appearances and urging him to stop and cut it out with his politics. However, now Bob Iger took action against Pedro in the most unexpected way possible, where he canceled an entire featurette for Fantastic Four that was filmed, focusing strictly on Pedro as Reed Richards.
Because once you see what they did with Galactus, Reed Richards, and one very unexpected baby, you'll realize this isn't the movie anyone expected. And that's exactly why it might be the one Marvel needed most. Before Marvel even rolled a single camera, Fantastic Four was under immense pressure. This wasn't just another origin story. It was the film that was originally meant to lead directly into Avengers: Doomsday. It was the final puzzle piece before Marvel's biggest event since Endgame. That's a heavy weight for any franchise to carry, especially one that's already failed twice. With the release calendar constantly shifting, mounted and the MCU's once unshakable momentum started to slow. Some fans even wondered, did Marvel peak already? So by the time this movie neared completion, it wasn't just about introducing a new team. It had to prove Marvel still knew how to build something great.
It is, the team was too white. So these are 6 woke points that are all in this movie, which makes this movie fully woke. It's not just like one thing. They were like, yeah, they did this, but no, it's fully there. So the question is, can a movie be woke and good? The majority of the time, no. The majority of the time, everything woke turns to shit. So, we'll see. You know, seems like they gave Galactus some Unicron capabilities of transforming.
But then a twist. Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars were both pushed back, giving Marvel more room to breathe, and ironically, less pressure on Fantastic Four to be the linchpin of the universe. Instead, it became something even more important: the creative reset, the test case, a chance to try something bold. The shift allowed Spider-Man, Brand New Day, to move ahead in the release order, but it also gave Fantastic Four a kind of freedom. Marvel used that space to take risks, not just with storytelling, but with tone, design, and emotional depth. They no longer had to play it safe, but with that creative freedom came a new kind of pressure: make it count. Because if this movie didn't work, if audiences didn't connect, thing might not be another shot. Marvel could have played this one safe. Modern setting, familiar tone, same formula. Instead, they shocked everyone by doing something no one saw coming, setting the entire Fantastic Four film in an alternate universe 1960s. It wasn't just a retro filter slapped on top. It was a full commitment, from the visuals to the costumes, dialogue, and even how characters carried themselves. The movie dove headfirst into a stylized, retro-futuristic world. Think Jack Kirby meets Stanley Kubrick. And yes, that's exactly what they were going for. Director Matt Shakman described it as part love letter to the original comics and part cosmic fever dream. The result? A wild, sometimes surreal ride that feels more like a lost Silver Age graphic novel come to life than a modern superhero film. It was risky. Audience setting isn't just for style. It's baked into the DNA of the story. The way people speak, the optimism of the era, even the science, everything echoes that time period while telling a story that still feels massive in scale. And by committing fully, Marvel gave itself the freedom to embrace the weird. This wasn't just a new chapter, it was a tonal shift, a creative gamble, and it laid the perfect groundwork for what came next. Comic book accuracy taken to the extreme. For years, Marvel seemed afraid of going too comic booky with the Fantastic Four. Previous versions gave us half measures, vague powers, generic villains, and in one infamous case, a Galactus that looked more like a weather event than a god. Fans wanted authenticity, but studios feared it would come off too goofy. This movie changes everything. From the opening act, it's clear that Marvel stopped holding back. Galactus isn't a cloud. He's a towering cosmic force ripped straight from Kirby's panels, complete with his eye, helmet, and unimaginable scale. His presence alone feels like a declaration. This is the real deal, but it goes deeper than visuals. The movie is packed, almost overloaded, with Easter eggs, comic callbacks, and deep lore. From references to classic 1960s issues to nods at failed past films, it rewards longtime fans without alienating newcomers. Even Herbie, the team's robot sidekick, often left out for being too silly, gets real emotional depth. He's not just background noise, he's part of the family. And the best part, the movie doesn't apologize for any of it. There's no winking at the camera, no self-aware jokes about spandex. It treats the source material with respect and confidence. The tone might be wild at times, even borderline absurd, but it embraces its identity instead of watering it down. Because sometimes going full comic book is exactly what a comic book movie needs. It wouldn't be Fantastic Four without the theme of family. But this time, Marvel added a twist that caught nearly everyone off guard. Franklin Richards. That's right. Reed and Sue's son isn't just mentioned, hinted at, or teased in a post-credit scene. He's in the movie, he's central to the plot, and he's already powerful enough to turn the entire MCU on its head. Most movies would have played it safe, using a baby like Franklin as emotional bait, a cute face, a plot device. But here, Franklin isn't a prop, he's a character, a surprisingly essential one. His presence adds vulnerability, urgency, and a huge cosmic question mark. What happens when something so small holds the kind of power that could rival the oldest forces in the universe? Director Matt Shakman revealed that Franklin's arc was inspired by his real-life relationship with his daughter, and it shows. The emotional weight lands. There's something raw and genuine in how the team protects him, especially Reed, played with quiet intensity by Pedro Pascal. And yes, he's fully leaning into the reluctant dad with a god-tier kid role. That's followed him from The Mandalorian to The Last of Us. The movie smartly uses Franklin to explore legacy, responsibility, and fear of the unknown, all without slowing down. The contrast is clear. Galactus, ancient and unstoppable, and Franklin, innocent but limitless. It's a bold choice, one that reshapes the family dynamic and adds emotional gravity to a story already filled with cosmic stakes. Recasting iconic characters is always risky, especially when the franchise has already stumbled more than once. But this time, Marvel didn't just cast big names. They cast the right ones. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards might have raised a few eyebrows at first. He's everywhere lately. Star Wars, The Last of Us, now Fantastic Four. But his take on Reed is different, cooler, more distant, less heroic genius, more hyper-focused intellect, teetering on the edge of obsession. You feel the weight of his mind constantly calculating, and the cost of it on those around him. Then there's Venus as Sue Storm, and she's the emotional heartbeat of the movie. If Reed is the brain, Sue is the soul. Her portrayal isn't just strong, it's grounding. She brings warmth and empathy without losing authority. She's not just part of the team, she's the one holding it together. Kirby describes Sue as the most emotionally intelligent person alive, and that comes through in every scene. Eben Moss Backrack's Ben Grimm brings grit and sadness to the thing. His performance is heavy, not just physically, but emotionally, quietly suffering, yet fiercely loyal. The CGI redesign, similar to how Marvel handles the Hulk, lets the performance breathe without sacrificing presence. And Johnny Storm, he's the spark. Brash, wild, but with a deep bond to Ben that finally feels real. Their chemistry hits that perfect mix of rivalry and brotherhood. This isn't just a recast, it's a reinvention. And somehow, it works better than anyone expected. If you walked into this movie expecting Norin Rad Anna, Ord, you weren't alone. But Marvel threw a curveball, introducing Shala Bal instead, played by Julia Garner. She's Galactus's new herald, and while fans instantly dubbed her the Silver Surfer, she's something very different. In the comics, Shala Bal was Norin Rad's love interest, not the cosmic warrior. But here, Marvel reshaped her into a powerful, mysterious figure with a haunting presence. She's fast, dangerous, and tied directly to Galactus's mission. Her screen time might be shorter than the trailers hinted, but she plays a crucial role in how Earth becomes Galactus's next target. Why the switch from Norin to Shala Bal? Marvel's playing the long game. They're setting up something bigger, possibly saving Norin's arrival for later. And by flipping expectations, they've opened a new cosmic door, one fans definitely didn't see coming. As bold and refreshing as Fantastic Four is, it's not without its flaws. The biggest? Pacing, especially once Galactus enters the picture. Film starts strong, builds tension well, but by the third act, things start to wobble. The scale becomes so massive, so fast, that the emotional core struggles to keep up. Galactus is a visual spectacle, but the story starts racing through beats that needed more breathing room. Some moments feel rushed, and the shift from intimate family drama to full-blown cosmic disaster happens so quickly, it's jarring. Another issue? The Thunderbolts post-credit scene. It unintentionally undercuts the movie's ending by revealing too much, too soon. Thanks to schedule shuffles, audiences already knew where some of these characters would end up before they even met them. It doesn't ruin the film, but it adds noise to what should have been a cleaner landing. If Fantastic Four proves anything, it's that Marvel is finally willing to take risks again. and they might actually be learning from past mistakes. This movie isn't just a self-contained story. It's a launchpad. Franklin Richards alone introduces level of power the MCU hasn't dealt with before. And with Galactus now firmly in play, Marvel just positioned a new cosmic threat that could easily rival or replace Kang. The tone, the style, even the casting signals a shift toward more comic-accurate, emotionally grounded storytelling. And that has massive implications for the upcoming X-Men reboot, Avengers Doomsday, and anything multiverse-related. It's clear this wasn't just about reviving a dormant franchise. This was Marvel testing the waters for their next era, one that's bolder, weirder, and maybe even a little unpredictable again. Fantastic Four isn't perfect, but maybe that's exactly why it works. It's messy in moments, risky by design, and unapologetically different from the safer Marvel films of the last few years. It dares to be emotional, weird, and deeply comic book in a way we haven't seen in a long time. More importantly, it feels like a beginning, not just for this team, but for Marvel's entire direction going forward. With characters like Franklin Richards and Galactus now in play, the stakes are no longer just global, they're existential. Marvel may have finally remembered what made audiences fall in love in the first place. Stories that balance heart and spectacle, grounded humanity with wild imagination. And now that the first family of Marvel has truly arrived, the real question is, what are they about to set in motion? Because if this was just the start, what's coming next could be game-changing.